Enough discrimination is a silent war. Lack of information is a silent war. Enough malnourished is a silent war. Silent war, silent war. Enough discrimination is a silent war. Miscommunication is a silent war. Money is a weapon to enslave the poor. Silent war.
Hey guys, thank you for checking this channel out today. For those that don't know me, my name is Justin Smith. So we were going to do a segment, and we still are, on some sensitive subjects to kick off the channel. I thought about it though, and I think now is the best time to have a conversation about addiction, homelessness, and mental health. They are three things that I have dealt with personally. There are three things that I deal with now on the spectrum of helping others on a regular basis. And there are three things that we don't often talk about enough. So today's segment is going to be about that: addiction, homelessness, and mental health. I'm going to give you guys a lot of information today. And all of the information that I provide will be attached to this video. Secondly, right, I don't want you guys to take the factual stuff that I say at face value. I want you to do the research. I do not want you to take my word for it. It's important to me that we all have access to the knowledge, but we all take or make that choice to actually, provide that proof. We've gotten to a culture in this country where we take, news and bloggers and vloggers and writers at their words, and that's so unhealthy. So I want you guys to definitely take the time to research, and like I said, I will provide all of the resources that I use to come up with what I have to say. Before I do that though, I'm going to share a video with you guys. Now, I've been advised by a lot of people at this point not to share this video. I've been advised by some of my closest supporters that it's just not wise to show you guys. But I've also come to the conclusion that I can't practice, or I can't preach, teach to thine own self be true and not live by it. Most of you guys that know me either from school growing up in Connecticut, or you know me from New York. So it's safe to say that 90% of the people that I interact with, know that I have a past, and it's not a past that I would brag about, but it's not a past that I'm ever going to be ashamed of. So I'm going to show you guys a video of me 2 years ago. This night, I'm not going to reveal anyone's names, but this night I was living out on the streets for a couple of days at this point, and I was low on money, low on self-esteem, low on food. It was just a rough time, and one of my friends called me up, and we decided to hang out, and we had a good night. I won't deny that. And then, like all good nights start when you are actively using, the night just turned into hell. So I'm going to play the video for you guys, and we'll come back and we'll talk about it. Again, I want to pre-warn you guys that this video may contain some harmful or traumatizing footage. So if you are not at the point spiritually, mentally, and emotionally to see something like this, please fast forward. My name is Justin Adam Smith, born March 5th, 1987. I might be fucked up, but I know one thing. My name is Justin Adam Smith. That was a rough thing to find in my phone, and I actually didn't find it until maybe a year and a half later. It's rough because of all of the ways that addiction has caused me pain personally, whether it was from my own active usage or whether it was from seeing a loved one die because of their active usage. And so this is something that I take to the heart. I take it to the depths of my heart because this is a serious subject that we do not address correctly. When I was thinking about what to say, one of the things that came to my mind about treatment is this: if you ever travel, let's say, one way to work every day, and for me, I travel the 1 to the L, right? And I have 2 ways that I can go. There's many ways, but 2 ways that I choose to go from the L to the actual building. And I do that every day. And let's say I've been doing it for 3 months, right? So I'm really well versed in this route. I know this route. And let's say a friend decides, it's bring your friend to work day. And you bring your friend with you to work, and that friend is trying to convince you that route that you're going is the wrong route and you should take their route. But you take their route and you end up being 5 minutes late for work. You end up being caught in the rain with no umbrella, and it just seems like everything goes wrong. For me, that is what getting help from the wrong people feels like. And that's important for me to address, all right? When I say the wrong people, right? There are doctors that are the wrong people. There are nurses that are the wrong people. There's family members that are wrong people. For me, the wrong people have given me advice for too long. I'm a firm believer, right, that if you haven't gone through any of what I've gone through, right, then there's not much you can tell me about how to fix it. You see what I'm saying? And so I've realized over the past couple of years that the best advice, the best help that I've ever received were from doctors and nurses and counselors who have actually gone through something in their lives. Maybe not necessarily their own personal battle with addiction or mental health or homelessness, but of a close relative, a family friend. If it hasn't affected you, then you have no business telling me how to come out of it, if you will. And so I say that to say that the only way that I'm able to address 100% of the stuff that we're going to talk about is because of what I've went through, right? And that video is just a snippet of the things that I've caused myself, I've brought to myself, right? So let's start with addiction. Let's start with the actual word, right? So according to some etymologists, and again, before I even get there, let me pause and say this. Please verify fact, form your own opinion, but verify fact, because one thing that is true is fact. It's the definition. You see what I'm saying? So I'm going to be giving a lot of facts, but I'm also going to be giving a lot of opinion, and I want you guys to be able to decipher between the two. I will, try to make it abundantly clear, but just in case it's not, again, fact is fact, opinion is opinion. So the word addiction, right? So it's actually derives, according to etymologists, from a Latin word addictus, right? And addictus means to devote, to sacrifice, to sell out, betray, or abandon. However, in the Roman law, an addiction was an actual person that became enslaved through a court ruling, right? And again, this is according to etymologists who study words and the origin of words. So, according to the American Society of Addiction Medicine, however, addiction is a treatable chronic medical disease involving complex interactions among brain circuits, genetics, the environment, and an individual's life experience. People with an addiction use substances, or engage in behaviors that become compulsive and often continue despite harmful consequences. And again, that's the modern definition according to the American Society of Addiction Medicine. So this brings me to my first issue, right? How in the hell did we go from to devote, to sacrifice, to sell out, to betray, to abandon, or abandon, to the actual word addiction being a person that became enslaved through a court ruling, to it being a treatable chronic medical disease, right? Sorry, I hit the laptop. Right. Now, I do believe in the advancement of medicine. Do not mistake my words as to not be someone who believes in the advancement of medicine, right? But I say this just to kind of take away the context of, what these etymologists found versus what, the ASAM are saying, is that we have this ability, right? And this is not just an American thing, to distort, to water down words, to redefine. So I'll put it like this, right? If they can redefine the word addiction, then so can we, right? And what I mean by so can we can redefine the word addiction is we can redefine the idea that addiction is not curable, that once an addict, always an addict. We can redefine that, right? Because it's proven right here in the text that things can grow and, we can mature and become something anew, right? So that's my first thing. Whew, I told you guys, I'm going to cover some things, guys, and we're going to talk about some things that are going to be a little controversial, going to be a little uncomfortable, but we have to get it out. So as I'm thinking about this, right, and I'm kind of battling between, all right, so these etymologists say it's this, okay, maybe it's grown and it's matured, and now, we're saying, well, it's a treatable, chronic medical disease, okay? Then it bothers me because now we're calling it a disease, right? And there's big debate. There's big debate on the subject of disease, disorder, whatever you want to label it. In fact, another fact is that the debate right now, right, in 2021 is still, is addiction a sin or is it a disease? Should treatment be moral or medical? Is addiction caused by the substance, the individual's vulnerability, or psychology, or social factors? And should substances be regulated or freely available? This is what we're debating in 2021, right? And this is important to me because I look at things like, or I look at countries, especially the Asian countries, and excuse me if I'm not politically correct, my apologies in advance because a lot of the stuff that I say is probably not PC. And I look at treatment in a lot of the Asian, I guess they would be second and third world countries, because I'm not really talking about these superpowers, if you will, and how they treat medicine. And I look at ancient African culture, and I look at, the natives to the Americas culture, South and North, and I see how, medicine was treated, with natural resources. There's a natural resource, if you will, a plant called kratom. That's, I believe, banned by the FTC or FDA. Sorry, but it's so effective. And don't take my word for it. I'll put the spelling out there, and you guys can check it out yourself. In fact, I know it's effective because I've used it. I've used it to treat a toothache, and you guys know, those that know me know that. I deal well with pain. I've pulled out my own teeth, right? But I've used it to pull out a toothache. I've used it for chronic migraine. I used it for upset stomach. But yet it's a natural resource that's banned by the FDA, right? Think about marijuana and how federally it's still, an illegal substance, but it's been proven to have these healing abilities, if you will. So we're still debating, is it a sin or a disease? Should treatment be moral or medical? Is addiction caused by the substance, the individual's vulnerability, and psychologically, or social factors, or should substance be regulated or freely available? And that is the problem with addiction in America, right? Is that's what we're debating. What we should be talking about is the root cause of addiction. Where the hell is it coming from? In every other aspect of the medical field, right? If you have cancer, the doctor's trying to figure out, well, what type of cancer do you have? Where did it come from? How did you get it? right? They're going through genealogy. They're going through, different medical treatments, CAT scans, MRIs. They're going through, the works to find out where the root cause is, so that way they can eliminate what they can see on the surface, and hopefully prevent what they can't see from coming back, right? The problem is we're not treating addiction like that. If we're calling it a disease, then we should treat it medically like it's a disease, right? But we're not doing that. We're not finding out the root cause of it, right? That brings me to mental health. Mental health. One of the biggest issues I have with New York is their horrific lack of planning, lack of execution of mental health. This is a city, right? I moved to in 2017 because if you're not from New York City, the city is so, it's beautiful, it's full of big dreams. You can do anything in New York. If you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. Until you get to New York. Until you get to New York and you get on the subway system and you hear the pitch for the first time from a homeless person saying that, they need, they don't want the money, they just want something to eat, something to drink. And a lot of these people I genuinely believe, because I was there at one point, right? New York is a beautiful city until, you're at the park with some friends and you're barbecuing and, some homeless person comes up and asks you for a burger or a hot dog because they're hungry and none of the food places are open because it's a holiday. I've been there on that end, so I know exactly, how that feels to have to do that. New York is a beautiful city until you have to go to a detox. New York last year shut down all of their city-run detox. So now, when you're detoxing in this city in the 5 boroughs, you have to go to the emergency room and get treated as if it were an emergency situation. Which often, yes, it is an emergency situation. But detoxing and detoxing and withdrawing from overdose are 2 completely different things, right? We'll get into that on another segment. So, New York. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of example of how the addiction and the mental health and the homelessness all kind of plays a role into the my New York story. So mental health, right? So now, you can't really go anywhere. You have to have, insurance to get a psychiatrist, psychologist. Pre-COVID, now with COVID, Medicaid covers some forms of Medicaid cover therapy, right? So now you have the people, begging on the train. You have, people in and out of the emergency room. So now the emergency rooms are packed and you can't go get treated for the emergency situation that you should be going to get treated for, because they're calling code 9 and code reds to help the person that, has clearly got some shit going on with them. But we're so focused on getting in, getting out, getting numbers up, decreasing the bottom, or staying away from the bottom line. We're so worried about profit margins that we don't pay attention to that. I'll tell you what New York did, right? So COVID happened. We all remember it because we're living through it. And the geniuses in the local and state government decided to take over, I believe it's upwards of 300 hotels, right? And before I'm not even going to get into how idiotic it was to take people and move them into upper class neighborhoods. We see how idiotic it is by the number of people leaving New York, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about how they painted this picture that they took all these homeless people off the street, brought them into hotels, and New York's safe and our numbers are going down. Meanwhile, right, not only were we, killing old people, we didn't forget about that, right? But they didn't take people off the street and put them in hotels. They repurposed and replaced people that were already in facilities. All right? Now, I'm not going to speak on any particular facility, right? But I've heard stories, I've seen articles and reports about the number of people overdosing in these new hotel sites. Factually, I've witnessed situations where people have overdosed or have come damn near death at these hotel sites. Because we repurposed and replaced people who were in shelters with case managers. And we put them in these luxury hotels and said, figure the rest out. It makes sense. So now, right, you take that addiction and mental health, and now they're like that. So I'm a 25-year-old man, right? I'm 34 in reality. I'm a 25-year-old man. and I get replaced and repurposed to a hotel, right? I have no job. I have clear mental incapacities that I haven't dealt with, right? And I'm homeless, so the trifecta, right? So the idea is to put me in a location, in a neighborhood where there's luxury cars, where there's, upscale residences where you can, spit on the sidewalk and someone's cleaning it up 5 minutes later. And you expect me not to have a negative reaction in that area, when all I've done for 25 years is live in these rat-infested NYCHA apartments that you... New York is something else, guys. New York is something else, right? So then you take it, right? It gets so much better. It gets so much better. So then they shut down the subway systems to disinfect, right? Right? We didn't think about what that did. So let's talk about homelessness for a second. A homeless person, most homeless people in New York, most, and I say most because popular or contrary to what the popular belief is, there are more homeless people living out in these streets than we talk about, right? So homeless people in New York were forced to now leave the subway system at 1 a.m., which is the time that if you travel in New York, you know that after midnight on a weekday, 1 and 2 o'clock on a weekend, the trains are packed with homeless people, especially during the winter when they're looking for a place to sleep. And now, I, like many other folks that reside in New York, don't really pay it too much attention at night, right? So now you force these people out, you close all subway stations from 1 to 5 to clean, right? Even though at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning when we come back to the train station, it still looks as shitty and dirty as it did prior to closing, or while it was closed. So you force all these people out, right? And the boroughs are only but so big. The subway system only operates that effectively or efficiently in the boroughs, right? And so you have thousands of homeless people roaming the streets with no food, no money, no place to go. But we painted this picture like everything was okay. And that is that is the definition of how not to deal with homelessness, addiction, and mental health, right? Now I have to name drop on a positive note, right? So I have to tell you guys, the Doe Fund, right, where I went to get my help, they inadvertently helped me change my life. They gave me the tools, treated me like a man, and didn't accept any bullshit. And because of that, I'm able to stand and talk to you guys about this stuff today. So I give big props to them. I'll always give big props to them. Were they perfect? No. Are they perfect? No.
Yo, this for the culture, man.
But there's not
I don't do this shit for fame.
that I've met yet.
You know what I mean?
Fight like hell for you if you're fighting like hell.
Masculine backs, that is an understatement. The Undertaker taking natural creations, this my proclamation. Standard innovation is the crowd absorb it. I move like planets orbit, tighter than the door shit when I flow like faucets. That's some bullshit. My team is moving cautious, never counting losses. Mumble rappers, actors, they got me nauseous. I'm something they can stomach like Elijah Muhammad. I'm not Islamic, but I bomb it. I watch them plummet. I plunder with words of thunder, cast them asunder. The knife wonder from the under. I bet you wonder about my artistry. None as hard as me. The God degree, gotta charge a fee like I'm a banker. And you landed on my property. This monopoly, you did it sloppily. Can't copy me, you're not a gangster. It must be some miscommunication. I never fell off, now I'm back. I was on vacation, meditating verbatim. Don't hate me, God made them. They say God love fools, but I annihilate them. It's complex how I bomb for checks. I break arms and necks, no false alarm, and I disarm your set.
Enough discrimination is a silent war. Lack of information is a silent war. Enough my races is a silent war. Silent war, silent war. Enough discrimination is a silent war. Miscommunication is a silent war. Money is a weapon to enslave the poor. Silent war, 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 war.
We've Revealing secrets of the universe to quench your thirst. You need to get a nurse, let's call her hearse, cause times got worse. I give life to a soulless being, for God is overseeing. Got devils fleeing, unnatural beings. Abomination, this confirmation. My observation, cause I got no patience, times is wasted. I shall proceed, the world is ruled by those who thirst for greed. They work us till the bone, until our fingers bleed. My slug spitting like a saxophone. You try to relax at home, mind your own, to lead pierce your dome. You niggas gangster till you called alone. Ain't no love in these streets, little nigga, your ass should've known. My beats are body him, knock him off your feet like a shotty. Hit him in a Bacardi, chillin', Bacardi sippin'. Nowadays these young niggas trippin', like my mother told me, they need an old-fashioned ass whipping.
Enough discrimination is a silent war. Lack of information is a silent war. Enough mind them races is a silent war. Silent war, silent war. Enough discrimination is a silent war. Miscommunication is a silent war. Money is a weapon to enslave the poor. Silent war, 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 war.
Shapeshifters, hybrids, and reptilians gathered in the devil's den. Seal the deal in blood with the devil's pen. The cherub pen and the antichrist. It's a crisis. I might just blow their mic devices when I write this righteous, benevolent, wise, intelligent, sniping vipers. Then I rock them back and forth like they windshield wipers. The golden child, golden touch, like a Midas. I got them tight like arthritis while riders try to bite this. I'm too strategic, leave them crippled like they quadriplegic. The God release it on the pedestal, they cannot reach it. I never share my thoughts with fools, that's not teaching. Silent war, the enemy, they're not breaching. I got perimeters, God scrimmager, finisher, light bearer, bring night terrors, the miniature. So eat your spinach, better get your veggies, because my team is ready, from South Sudan to the Serengeti.
Enough discrimination is a silent war. Lack of information is a silent war. Enough mind them races is a silent war. Silent war, silent war. Enough discrimination is a silent war. Miscommunication is a silent war. Money is a weapon to enslave the poor. Silent war, 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 war.